Okay, we're ready to look at account detail now on the screen. We're going to use the Toyota Center as our example. So going to be some neat features in here, some features that were not available in the previous version of Easy Connect that we tested this week that I really, really like. We'll get into those in a second. I know there's going to be some questions about, when we look at history, where can I find these documents? Where can I find, the proposals that I have? Where can I find old sales agreements, existing sales agreements and that sort of thing? I was in a meeting yesterday afternoon, found out that they were successfully able to pull down all the existing documents from our accounts, from all of the sales agreements and the history of that were done in Salesforce.com for those customers, and I think all of the proposals, open proposals that were done, for going all the way back, and those are going to be stored in a document repository that we're going to have access to. I think that's coming very soon, but in the meantime there are ways to get to those documents, and they are certainly going to be available to us to give us whatever documents that we need on quickly. So they do have access to all the documents. But one thing that we can do right from the account screen is, if you look right beside the Toyota Center's name on this tile, you'll see a little backwards clock button. That's a history button. And if you hit that history button, tap on that, it's going to bring up customer history. Now, the first time that you load the customer history onto your iPad from one of your customers, it's going to take a little while because it's loading sales, it's loading service, it's loading billing, it's loading proposals. It's not perfect yet. It doesn't have everything yet, but you can see here on sales to the Toyota Center, there is quite a history that goes back. I'm not too sure that they have the effective dates accurate on this. In fact, I can tell you that they're not accurate as they come across. I think there's some mix in there. So that's one of those little bugs that we're going to work through and figure out, but it's not a major issue at this point. At least you can see some sales history from the Toyota Center. The Toyota Center was sold a couple of years ago. So you can see that most of this stuff is should have different dates on it, but that's just an issue we found now. I'm sure they're going to get it fixed right away. There's going to be some service issues that you're going to be able to see. That's not coming down yet. You can see billing issues in here, descriptions, the amounts where they paid, that sort of thing. So you are going to have a billing history. Give this some time to get more complete and to get more accurate, but it's a feature that's coming. It's a feature that is there right now, but it just needs to be tweaked. So it is something that is really cool, and I'm excited about. And then you can see we have just pulled down all the proposals. So right now you can't see the proposals that are in there. So there's going to be some future enhancements to that. But you can see some of the cool stuff they're building in that you had requested. Those of you that sent it in and wanted to see some history. Again, the actual documents are available, and we can get them. Right now, we can just request them, but in the very near future, there's going to be a web-based service that you can go out and pull those documents yourself. So the other thing that you'll see on this tile over here is you'll see the email address of the contact, you see the phone number, and then across the top of the screen, over on the right hand side, you see appointments. Now I want you to think of appointments as opportunities going forward using Easy Connect. If you have an appointment, that means that you've proposed and inspected. So there's going to be some vernacular that's going to have to change as we go forward. So appointments means that you've done an inspection. It probably doesn't mean that there's a proposal every time, but an appointment certainly means there's going to be an inspection tied to it. Okay. So as we look here, we see we've had a couple of appointments. I'll get into that here in a second. You see we've also got contacts, and if I click on contacts, you can see the main contact for the Toyota Center, and this needs to be filled in and completed. But you can see that there's an edit pen over here to the right. If I clicked on that edit, it would allow me to edit that contact. Okay. There are service locations, and again, in any app, if you see the plus button, that's an indicator to you that you can add a service location. So if you need to add a service location to this particular customer, you can add that here. Okay, and again, everything ties back to mission. So thinking about when you tie back to mission, there's, this information is getting pulled from mission, that you can't necessarily edit contact information or edit service locations, but you can add service locations. And so that's where we have the ability to do that. You can also you'll have the ability to do notes, take notes under that account, the pics and graphs. You can see that I've already done some graphs here to show you So the graphs will show up. We'll get into graphs here in just a little bit. Any photos that you've taken associated with this customer. I've taken just a photo of my desk, so you can see that there will be photos associated with this customer. Calls are going to be, the called on, right? This what came over. Did you call on this customer? Did you stop by? And that sort of thing. And then you can see that there are agreements. Anything that you have proposed and sold to that customer's there. So let's spend more time here in the appointments calendar. You can see right off the bat, I proposed to them this first one on 8/17 yesterday, proposed a merchandise sale and a pest control sale. You can see also that the little Adobe icon that's out here is red. That means there's a proposal that is attached to this. We'll look at those proposals later on. If the Adobe Acrobat is gray, that means that you've got some open inspections that you need to finish, or a proposal that you actually need to finish, right? So, or your proposal that you need to do. So up at the top, there's the date, there's the stage, there's the proposal amount, there's the sold amount, there's the add a call button, which will add basically an appointment for you at this point. I think this is going to change to where it becomes a little bit more clear to you. And then this one is add a proposal, so, or add an agreement to the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. I'm going to click on this. Let me draw around it just so you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to click on this. That's the add an agreement feature. And when I do that, that's going to open up any open inspections under this account, right? So if I have any open inspections that I haven't completed under this account, it's going to open them up and let me choose those particular inspections. So as I click on that, you can see that I've skipped a whole bunch of the process, and I've already done these inspections, right? I've already done what I recommend, what I heard, what I saw recommended heard. I've built it. I've done the pricing. I've done the graph. I've done the proposal. I've got everything ready to go. So now if I want to build the proposal with both the merchandise and the pest control in it, I just highlight both of them and I click next, and it's going to build the proposal. Okay. So I'm not going to do that yet because I want to show that to you later. What I am going to show you is how we can exit out of this stage and save where we're at. Exit from where we're at and get back to and be able to save the work that we've done. Up here in the top left is this little basically leave this screen button right here. Okay, so when I tap on that, it says depart. And I'm going to go ahead and exit this screen. So now I am back, and any work that I've done is saved, and of course I had it saved before, so it's fine. But what I wanted to do at this point in time was show you something as far as adding an appointment. So when I click this button here, this plus button, think of it as adding an opportunity, right? Right now it says appointment. Eventually we'll get used to that and we'll understand what appointment is. But when we add an appointment, it's going to add us the ability to do an inspection. So I'm going to click on this plus button under calls. Okay, and what's going to come up is a screen for a new appointment, where we would normally think of as new opportunities. So we'll put in the lead source, and you have the ability to search for that lead source, but you can say where that lead source comes from, and this is a required field, right? So we'll say that it was a cold call. Let's say this time that our target pest is going to be, let's call it roaches. So we can use our search tool, and we've got an American roach issue there. Service location, we'll pick this service location. The appointment, when we had this discussion, let's say our appointment is now. We don't need to worry about that. So then I just save this appointment. Okay, so my appointment was created. You see, so it added another line down here, and then it added a plus sign out to the side. Okay, you see there's no plus sign here on this one because I have open inspections under this particular agreement. If I had open inspections under this particular agreement, it would show up as well. So what I want to do is I want to add inspections to this agreement, right? So we can treat this as a new agreement, or we can treat it as a new customer. We haven't done anything for them yet, but we're going to treat this one like we've got to do something different. This is another section of the Toyota Center that we have to worry about, because I want to show you the graph and how cool this is. Okay, so what we have here is the ability to do a graph, and I think this is going to be a great selling tool for you because the graph gets included on the proposal. And if you look in right here, let's highlight this. If you look right here, that's the button that you use to get into the graph. Okay, so I'm going to go into the graph to start drawing on my graph. Now, if you use two fingers on your screen, that moves the graph around, right? But if you use one finger, that's going to start activating whatever you have highlighted down the menu button over here, for example, the line. So I'm going to change my scale here to 75 by 75, just so we can see it a little better on the screen. Change the grid size, not the scale. The scale is going to be 1 box equals 1 foot. So this is going to be a pretty small little facility right here. So now I'm going to take my one finger and I'm going to draw across, and I'm going to draw a line across that way, right? And as I go, you probably see, we don't see it here. Yeah, so you see this is about a little over a 7-foot line. If I pause as I'm going, it's telling me, and if I go slow enough, it shows me how many feet I've already drawn. Right? So I've drawn there. Let's just complete this box. So I've got the drawing. You can draw, however you want. You can draw diagonal. You can draw whatever. You can even eventually there's another location in here where you can do freeform, right? You can use a pen and draw freeform, but we'll get into that. So one cool thing that I really like is right above this line over here on the left is a little home button with a magnifying glass. If I tap on that, it gives me the ability to add icons right to the graph. So you can see treatment specifications, crawl space specifications, exclusion wildlife treatment specifications. You can add directly to your graph these icons, which is pretty cool. And then it goes even beyond that. You can add hazard locations, and then you can add key evidence. Okay, so if you've got bed bug activity, I'm just going to tap on the bed bug, and then I'm going to tap on the screen where I saw the bed bug activity, and I've added the bed bug activity, right? Come back into it by hitting the home screen again. Scroll down, and let's say that we did see some mice activity in this location. So I'm going to tap on my mouse. I'm going to add a mouse right there, right? So another cool part of this is if I click this roach that I put in here and I hold the roach, it brings up the ability to add photos or add notes. Let's go to add photos. I can either take a picture directly here. I can add one from my photo library. If I took pictures during my inspection, which is normally what you do, you could add it from the photo library. I didn't take any pictures from my inspection. So I'm going to take a picture from right here. It's going to have this. I'm going to add that. I'm going to use that photo of that mess that I have right there. I'm going to click OK. So now you see that there's a little icon there, and there are photos that are available to use. I can do the same thing on the mouse that I have here, or if I wanted to, I can add just a photo. So if we look over here on the left-hand side, there's a little camera. I can take the camera, I can drop it somewhere on the screen, and then if I hold the camera, I can either add photos or add notes directly from where that is at and take another photo from there. Okay, cool feature. Let's add a note to this one, and we'll just say test. Okay, so I'll save that, and that's saved. So on down the side, there's other cool features. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the graph, but you can draw, right? Freeform. You can change the color of your pen. For example, if you want to highlight a certain area to focus on, you can do that, right? You can add text. You can do a square. You can do a circle. Okay. You can do the what I saw for a certain section and save that as well. The cursor, if you click on the cursor, you can highlight things and move it around. So if that little roach was not right there and it was actually over here, you can move it over to there, right? You can move any of the features that you have. You can even move the lines if you so wish. So if I highlighted this line and I made a mistake and I want to make that line longer, I can do that way. This undoes it. Right above that is the redo, so you can go back. And then, of course, if you highlight a certain section, I don't want that squiggly line in there, so let's go back to my highlight feature. And then I hit trash, I can actually delete that one particular feature right there. So a lot of things that you can do with the graph. Of course, you want to save your graph, which I'll do right now. Okay, so it's saved successfully. And then using the down arrow there, you can see the floor plan. So you can actually add levels to your graph. Let's X out of this and show you. So you see up here I have level 1. If I want to add another level, for example, if I'm doing apartments or I'm doing an office building and I want to add levels, I can add levels, and it will allow me to keep the data that I have in here, not the findings, but it'll keep the basic floor plan, right? And add a level with that same floor plan, or you have the option of doing another floor plan from scratch, but you don't have to redraw the actual outline of the floor plan every time you add a level, which is a really cool feature there. So I like that a lot. So anyway, that is our that's the graph and drawing the graph. You can see here that it is small, and right now it shows up small on the proposal as well. That is something that's going to be an immediate fix, and so it'll come up to a full size, full page size on the actual proposal. So that's how we get into the graph. I think before I get to the end of this proposal, I'm going to take us through the end of this particular video. I'm going to take us through stage 2 and stage 3, and then we'll stop for questions. So the next one is going to be basically what I heard, what I saw, what I recommend. And as we tested this, we didn't have any issues with this. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here other than saying that I know a lot of you have a lot of great data already that you use to start with, and then what I saw, what I heard, what I recommend, and scope of service. And so you're basically pulling that from other sources that you have. One thing that I would recommend right now is you take those sources that you have, especially if you have great scopes of service for like roach clean out, or great scopes of service for restaurants, or great scopes of service for bed bug work in hotels or whatever, that you take that information, you copy it from what you have in Salesforce and put it in notes on your iPad. And so you have a notes page that's bedbug scope of service. And so that way, if you want to do a quick copy and paste into the scope of service, you simply toggle over, open up your notes, copy it, come back in here, you toggle back open into Easy Connect, and you copy it or you paste it directly into scope of service. So you can have a whole notebook basically of scope of service if you want, you can put in. Now, one thing that is coming is an enhancement down the road. It's not a super fast release to the enhancement, but we are looking at uniform scopes of services for certain services that will automatically populate into this, so that you'll be able to change and edit depending on which target pest you choose. But for right now, it's going to be a copy and paste scenario for you that'll help you speed this process up. So you can even do that. I know Homer has a great set of, Homer Villa in San Antonio has a great set of starting points for what I saw, what I heard, what I recommend. And is, in the what I saw is, I observed this that could cause this, what we recommend. He's got some great starting statements. He can have those available in his notepad, put them into this, and then add to them as he needs them. So that's something that's great. So you'll also see that there's some covered pests. This is a great opportunity for you to limit your liability. So for example, if a customer says, all I really want you to take care of are my rodents, you can simply click mice and rats, and they'll never be able to come back to you and say, well, your proposal says you're going to cover cockroaches too. So it does limit your liability. We are going to add a bed bug section to this. It'll be coming very soon, so you'll be able to choose bed bugs only. So that way, if you're going in and doing a bed bug proposal, you're not going to be held liable to take care of all these other covered pests. Same thing with core services. If somebody only wants one section done, maybe you go into a restaurant and they say, we only want our kitchen done. We don't want you to do the bar area. We don't want you to do outside. We only want the kitchen covered, and that's it. And then later on, they have issues in their bar, and they have issues over somewhere else. They have issues outside. Well, we're only covering the kitchen, and you can highlight just the kitchen, or you can select all. If it's like someplace says, oh, we just want you to treat everything, you can select all, and all parts are covered. There's also an other down here, and if you click other, it does allow you to add value to that. We are going to add additional others to this. There will be, I think, up to 5 others where you can add 5 very specific locations for those scenarios where you run into that situation. I'm going to deselect that now. So that's what I heard, what I saw, what I recommend, special instructions section. Okay. And then finally, we build our proposal. And this is where we choose our service line that we're going to focus on. This is what is it? Bird, merchandise sales, mosquito, pest control, related repair, termite control. Okay, so let's say that this is pest control. We can choose our frequency. Not a big fan of monthly, so we'll say that we're going to do this. We're going to do this one weekly. It'll choose our sales agreement template, and we choose our main target pest. And let's say our main target pest in this one is going to be, we have some rat issues there. We're just going to go rats in general. Okay, and then I click next, and that's going to take me to the pricing page. So I'm going to stop here and answer any questions, and we'll get back into the next section of the proposal.